This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht Edition live on Facebook. Tonight we have with us the lovely Katerina Kandylaki, who will be talking to us all about her fascinating research and her dancing. And we will have our usual fun and games of This Day in History, Macro Search, and Tracy's Tidbits. So stay tuned.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht Edition. Here we are again. And yes, we do have a very interesting guest this evening. A bit of a contradiction, if I may. She's researcher on one side and dancer. As Matt says, yes, we've got everything else going on this evening. But hey, guys, how are you? How are you, Matt? How are you, Tracy?
Good. I'm still in the UK. I'm currently in Derbyshire.
You're moving around.
I moved around, yes. I was in Hove on the weekend, went to the seaside.
Ooh. That's next to Brighton, isn't it?
That's next to Brighton, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You didn't get to Brighton then?
No, well, I went to the train station, but that was all I saw. Right.
Well, it's a very pretty train station. So
yeah.
That's something.
But no, I was in Hove, which is very nice. And I went and saw the beach and the pier. And apparently I had the best ice cream in the UK.
Did you now?
It was nice. I mean, I don't know if it's the best in the UK, but it was nice.
Okay. Did you have any chips?
I did have some chips, yeah.
Did you get attacked by seagulls?
We had one watching us the whole time.
Yes.
Like a dog just standing there watching.
Indeed. I like to feed the seagulls. So
yeah, the seagulls like it when you feed them too.
My brother was telling me that he's seen them chase a man with a bag of chips.
They can be quite vicious. Yes. It is probably not best not to encourage them because they really can be quite vicious, especially with little kids as well. Because little kids, of course, they've got the tiny little fingers that are the same size as the chips, and some of those seagulls can't tell the difference. So
well, maybe the children shouldn't have the chips. The poor seagulls, honestly. Leave the birds alone. It's probably all our fault anyway, because man started feeding the seagulls, so now they thought, oh, this is normal behaviour. So there you go. Moving on. Well, in any case, Matthew, good to hear you had some good ice cream and some chippies by the sea. But I've never been to Hove, actually. I've been to Brighton many times, but not to Hove.
It's very similar.
It's very nice. And Trace, how are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Another day, another week. The weather picked up, which was nice. So
yes, I noticed a post from you yesterday showing the lovely Mass in all its glory yesterday.
Yes, yesterday afternoon was quite nice weather. In fact, it was perfect beer drinking weather and good light. But today, it kind of took a turn again, so it's very difficult to kind of keep up. Oh, sorry,
there's the Tubbs.
Passed by there. He's gone out on the window. So, God, that's so I don't have to dive out.
Well, I'm not sure that this is a good time for little Tubbs to shout because we are going to be talking about International Dog Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes, it's International Dog Day. And of course, some people are dog people, some people are cat people, some people are not at all, some are both. Matt, dog, cat, either?
I would probably dog. I've grown up with dogs. I'm used to. I've never had a cat, but I mean, I like cats. But I think cats are. I don't know. They can be quite temperamental. I think it depends on the cat. But I suppose that's the same for dogs. So yeah, I don't mind.
Very true.
Well, we know Tracy likes both.
I love both. Actually, to be honest, I think I prefer some cats and dogs to some humans. To be honest with you.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, preaching to the choir. Yes, indeed, I do love both. I have had a dog in the past, long time ago, and we've often had cats because where my parents live was a bit more rural, so it kind of made more sense to have cats because they could kind of potter about and stuff. And now we have, of course, little Tubbs, who's our darling and takes up all of our time. But you never know, in the future we may have some more cats or dogs, or who knows. Who knows?
Well, I would say I definitely love both dogs and cats. And over the years, I've probably had more cats than dogs, purely because at one point I had 14 cats.
Oh gosh,
which
that's
makes
a lot
me
of
sound
cats.
very sad.
Not at all. You can never have too many cats.
That's a matter of opinion when you're actually amongst 14 of them.
How did that work out? I mean, were they living with you at home, or were you?
Yes,
wow.
Yes. Well, this was because when I was living in Portugal, some friends of mine who were leaving the country had 2 cats, and they said, we're looking for a home for them. I said, yeah, great, give them to me. I was looking to get a cat anyway, so I took on the 2 cats. They didn't tell me they were both pregnant. And
oh no!
A few weeks later, 12 of them were born.
Oh,
and
wow.
I do remember my flatmate Donna and I at the time. Well, I put it this way. There was one moment when I said to Donna, do you know, one day we'll laugh about this.
Has that day come yet?
Yes, it has come. Yes, it has come, because it was a very long time ago. But yes, at the time it was chaos. It was like
Was it a catastrophe?
And some, yes. Thank you very much, Tracy. She's on form. So they were literally peeing and pooping everywhere. They were scaling the curtains. It was like a game of gladiators, if you like. They were just fighting all over the place, and there was all sorts going on. And it was a catastrophe for sure. But dogs, cats, love them all for sure. Do you have a favourite dog? Cats, I know there are different breeds of cats, but generally cats are very similar on the whole. But dogs, of course, lots of shapes and sizes. Do you have a favourite?
I have several favourites. This could go on all evening. I do love the Labradors, I must say. So the golden, the chocolate, the black one's beautiful. The American Staffordshires are also very pretty. They come in this sort of blue colour, which is stunning with these eyes. I love the Husky dogs. They're very stunning.
They are lovely.
There's the Australian sheepdog, which is also just a beautiful creature.
Yeah, okay, Matt, we're going to have to jump in here because she is going to just reel off from A to Z, isn't she? What about you, Matt? What have you got?
I really like spaniels. We've always had spaniels. But I also like golden retrievers. They're really nice dogs. But I also like huskies. But I think they're a lot of work. Have a husky. You need to.
They are a lot of work because
give it a lot of stimulation.
Run. I just wanted to pick up here. A mutual friend of mine and Donna's by the name of Mark is actually tuning in at the moment, and he's laughing about the fact that Donna was peeing and pooping everywhere. I just make to categorically clear that we weren't supposed to talk about that. That was supposed to be a secret. Please don't tell Donna that I mentioned it on air. But yes, for me, I tell you what, I have to say this. I hadn't thought about this until actually today. A friend of mine who is an artist, she's recently been drawing lots of dogs, and she drew a corgi today. And I have to say, they're pretty cute, actually, the corgi. I know they're a favourite of the Queen of England, but they're quite cute little doggies.
They're very cute. My auntie Brenda has a beautiful dachshund. They're also very beautiful. So they're just fabulous as just dogs. We love you. All of them.
There you go. So everybody out there, tell us: are you a cat person? Are you a dog person? Have you got a favourite? Let us know. We would love to find out. Maybe send in some pictures of your poochies. We would love to see them, especially if Petra Euler happens to be tuning in. Then we will. Oh yes.
Hugo.
The picture of Hugo would be lovely because he's an old English sheepdog, and he's just
Wasn't that the dog they used to advertise Dulux Weather Shield in the UK? The paint, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
They had it was an English sheepdog, and then they had the
Yeah, the Labradors for the toilet paper.
Andrex.
That's it. Yes.
They do use animals a lot for these advertising.
And you know, I seem to remember a documentary we were watching a little while ago, actually, where there was a person whose job it was to look after the Andrex puppies. And that was their job.
Imagine that.
Oh,
that would be a
no.
job. But it's quite funny because if you pay attention to it, so many, I mean, the Felix food for kitty cats, it's advertised by a black and white cat. Then you've got the Fancy Gourmet, which is this big white fluffy pussy cat. So they're all very, you know, these advertising people, they know what they're doing.
They
Yeah.
do know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yes, let's tell us what you think about cats and dogs. It's International Dog Day. I don't know what that actually means, whether you're supposed to go out with your dog, meet other doggy people, and
No, not at all.
Oh.
It's not at all. I did a little bit of info.
Oh, tell us,
on it
Trace.
because it's very interesting. In fact, the first International Dog Day was celebrated way back in 2004. So it's a relatively new tradition. And in fact, the day is there to encourage people to adopt. So it's kind of the adopt, don't shop hashtag that we have these days. And it was founded by a lady called Colleen Page. I believe it was an American lady. And it was basically to spotlight the dogs around the world who are in desperate need of a home and loving family, and who are often maybe overlooked because everyone wants the cute puppy and everyone wants the pedigree pooch. And often there's these beautiful, you know, homeless stray dogs or dogs that have been just abandoned or given up that have so much love to give, and whether they're young dogs or senior dogs. So the aim of International Dog Day is to encourage people to take care of these types of animals and to give them a good life. So there we are.
That's nice. And actually, I found out a couple of interesting little titty bitties about dogs earlier, actually. We do know that obviously they have a very good sense of smell, and that they are also used for medical problems. They can sniff out cancer and all sorts, but they can actually sniff. Well, yeah, there you go. They can sniff and breathe at the same time. Something that I've tried to do, and it doesn't come across very well at all.
No, so heck, that would just, I just said, don't do it on air, Joe.
I'm not going to do it on air. It's not pretty. It doesn't sound very nice.
No, but they are quite. I've seen recently a documentary about the sort of assistant dogs that they have. For example, for soldiers coming back from war and people who maybe have a disability. And it's fascinating, really, what dogs can be trained to do. It's really very, very impressive. And not forgetting the guide dogs, who are also quite amazing creatures. Oh, hello, darling. Speaking of amazing creatures, Tubbs has returned and is now off back downstairs for some dinner.
Not impressed about all the talk about dogs.
No, I think he's like, I'm out of here.
One thing before we move on, apparently they are left or right pawed.
Oh yes. I read that somewhere before. Quite interesting. There you are.
Those are things. So anyway, interesting facts. You learn so much here on the Maastricht Edition.
I have one.
Oh.
Dogs only sweat through their paws.
That's right. Indeed.
See?
That's why they have to pant so much as well.
Yeah.
You know, and luckily we're getting away from this heavy summer weather where it used to bug me seeing people walking their dogs in the middle of like the noonday sunshine. I was like, come on, people, you know, have a brain.
Absolutely. And so, well, there you go. You're learning so much on the Maastricht Edition this evening. It's either about sweaty paws on dogs, or it's about Donna peeing and pooping 30 odd years. Oh, no, it was the cats that were peeing and pooping 30 odd years.
The cats. Oh, God.
Oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble. I really am. Anyway, I think it's probably time for us to do a little review. What do you think?
Go for it.
Let's go for it. Yes.
Okay, so I do believe that this week it was my choice for an album for Matt to review. And this was, well, it's a new favourite of mine, I suppose, but the band is an old favourite. I've been quite vocal about this, I suppose, over the years.
Just a tad.
Well, if you can have your Counting Crows, I can have my Foos.
You can have Dave. You can have Dave Grohl. Absolutely.
Oh. I'm sure he's watching this evening. So,
Yes, of course he
hello,
is.
Dave. Oh, that sounds terrible. Yes, as a big fan of the Foo Fighters, I've been listening to their most recent offering, Medicine at Midnight. Decided that Matt should give it a listen too. I know he's not a follower of the Foos, but this was something a little different because they're being a bit experimental with this last album, and they're sort of trying the 70s route. They're going to be inspired by the Bee Gees and Saturday Night Fever, so they thought they'd try something a little bit different. And so when I listened to it, I was like, oh, I'm not too sure about this. But actually, I thought it was brilliant. I had it on replay, couldn't get enough of it, handed it over to Matt, and you thought, Matt?
I thought it was quite a mixed bag of songs. I thought
Okay.
like some of them were like really rocky and like really, I don't know, heavy guitar, like I don't know, traditional rocky sounds. But then some of them were a lot slower, a lot, I don't know what the right word is. Ballady maybe.
Ballads, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the right word. But no, I thought it was quite interesting. But I don't really know many of the Foo Fighters songs, so I'm not really in the right place to compare different styles. But no, I think on average I quite liked the album. Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. I did enjoy the rocky ones quite a lot because, as we spoke about before, I used to play the Guitar Hero game.
Tracy, we've so got to play this with him at some point, or rather watch him playing it. I think
It's been a few years since I last played that game. I don't quite have the dexterity.
I can see it. Tracy and I with a bottle of wine, comfy on the sofa, Matt in front of us playing, what's it called? Air
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero. There you go. And yes, I think I'd be set for the evening. I think
there's also another one called Band Hero, and you could all play. There's a drum set.
Oh yeah, that's what they've done in I think Big Bang Theory. They all played drummer, and there was a guitarist and vocalist. So it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's us sorted then. Well, Eurovision is calling us. So you like the funny stuff, as we know. So you've given it a go. Where were you at the time?
I was enjoying a cup of tea.
Dave Grohl will be so happy to hear that.
There was cake too.
Down
and cake. Ooh.
Yeah.
Very British.
It is a little bit, yeah. Okay, so how many Mats out of 10?
I decided I would give it a strong 7.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's all right.
She looks annoyed, Matthew.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dave Grohl, you're talking about me.
It's okay. No, look. I mean, it's an acquired taste. I know that, and of course, I'm very biased. I would give it an 11 out of 10 anyway. So no, 7's good. 7. I'll take 7. That's okay. That's good stuff. Excellent. Okay, so it's now time for Tracy to give us an album for Matt to review. What have you got for us this week?
I'm going a bit wild this weekend. We're going to do something we've never done before. I'm going to give Matthew the choice of 2 albums, and he can choose which one he wants to listen to. Why am I doing this?
Why are you doing this, Trace?
Why am I doing this? The reason is that in the news this past week, there was an announcement about, sadly, 2 chaps, musical chaps, who passed away. Now, one of them was Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
And the other was Don Everly from the Everly Brothers.
Yes.
And they both passed away in the past couple of days.
Yes.
And I was thinking, well, it would make sense to choose an album from, one of the bands that these gentlemen were part of. And I really couldn't decide. So I thought I'd let Matthew pick. So Matthew, and this would be quite funny because you know the Rolling Stones, I guess. If you choose the Rolling Stones, I know you've listened to an album of theirs before, but I'm going a little further back, and I'm going to choose the album Sticky Fingers for you. So that's one option. And if you prefer to give the Everly Brothers a listen, then on Spotify, oh yes, branching out into Spotify, there's an album called This Is the Everly Brothers, and it's a sort of a compilation of maybe their most famous hits and songs. So the choice is yours, my dear. Which one do you fancy?
Okay, intriguing.
Ooh. They're very different, Matthew.
They're very different.
Yeah.
Very different. Oh,
Okay, I will see where the mood takes me.
Oh,
or you
listen to
both.
both.
There you go.
Also
So
an
you can
option.
choose on
That is option.
Spotify. This is the Everly Brothers, and on YouTube or whatever, you can try Sticky Fingers from the Rolling Stones. So you have.
That's a great pair of albums that you got there, Tracy, for sure. And I did want to mention Charlie Watts because for me, I was upset. To be honest, I was upset to hear the news about Charlie. The Rolling Stones are one of those bands that have they've been there since I was born and have been around continuously. They are, if not the best rock band, one of the best rock bands ever. They have continued to be so. And Charlie Watts is an absolute legend. I'm sure most of you have already heard this on the news anyway, the outpouring of love for Charlie Watts and the respect for the man. I mean, he was just astonishing, absolutely astonishing. And out of all the Stones, he was the one that I would have liked to have met and had a chat with. Absolutely. Not the others. The others, you probably would consider them to be proper rock stars, and there'd be an expectation with them. But with Charlie, he was the quiet one at the back. He was the steady one that carried the band through, and he was the one who was always sort of just looking over the shoulder of everybody. And I think he would have been a really interesting guy to speak to. So it's very sad, but let's be honest, at some point it was going to happen with the Stones. I mean, really. Yeah.
They're all getting on. I mean, they're still. I mean, I've seen Mick Jagger recently doing a concert. I mean, for his age, it's amazing, It's amazing.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, there's a lot of discussion about back in the day, were you a Beatles fan, were you a Stones fan, and there's so many differences and everything. But indeed, this music that came out of the UK back in those days. I mean, you talk about the Stones, for example, the Who, that all these. The Kinks, all of these types of bands. I mean, it all goes back to that sort of era, and it really.
And you can still hear them today in the new bands that are coming out.
Yeah, it stands the test.
Including the Foos. You can still hear the influence there for sure. Anita's in the house. Hello, Anita, who was with us as a guest last week. Anita Kovacs. Just a quick reminder, she will be appearing at the English Bookstore this Saturday. So if you want to... 2:00 on Saturday. So if you want to go and listen to her talk at the English Bookstore, I think, remind me, Tracy, you have to book?
Yes, the idea is that you drop an email to the lovely folks at the English Bookstore just to let them know you're coming. I have done this. I shall actually be joining on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to hearing Anita speak a little bit more about this subject. And I'm hoping there's a good turnout. And I'm also very, very excited to check out the English Bookstore finally, because of course with COVID and stuff, everything's been closed for so long. Finally, I'm being very efficient and doing a kind of 2-in-1 deal on Saturday. So,
there you go. So if you want to meet our Tracy, she will also be there at the English Bookstore as well. So there you go. You get to meet Anita and you get to meet Tracy. Excellent.
I'm sure the people will flood there in their droves for me. But anyway, I will be there. Yes.
Lovely stuff. We look forward to all the photos. Well, I think it's probably time for us to have a bit of a zen now. Time to chill out a little bit. Time to put our feet up. Let the whole of Maastricht come to a grinding halt, because it's time to put the kettle on, chill, breathe in, breathe out, because it's time for This Day in History. Ghost-like, I would say. Actually, it sounded more like a haunting.
There you are. Just relax.
It's true for Halloween, but
yes, a little spooky, but I'll take it. Today it is Thursday, the 26th of August.
Oh my God!
This is the last show of August, then.
Yeah.
Hey, next.
Or is it next week?
It's next week. It's September. It's the 1st of September on Wednesday. So
for goodness sake.
Has it, honestly, the last few months have just flown by.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it seems to be the 26th of August, quite a good day for patents. We'll be coming to that later. But on this day in 1682, the English astronomer Edmund Halley, or Halley, depending on how you want to pronounce it, first observes the comet named after him. You know, the comet,
Yes.
as in
that one.
Halley's Comet or Halley's Comet.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Let's go with, well, I always thought it was Halley's Comet, but
I
there
always
was
thought it was
some,
Halley.
yeah, Halley's Comet.
Halley,
Oh,
Halley.
Sure.
Or maybe we should just go with Edmund's Comet.
Doesn't have quite the ring, but
It doesn't, no. On this day in 1778, it was the first recorded ascent of Triglav. I don't know if I pronounced that right either. It's the highest mountain in Slovenia, and it was by Balthazar Hackett. I've never been to Slovenia. Has anybody been to Slovenia?
I haven't.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've been to Bratislava. That's in Slovenia, isn't it?
Is that, I think it's the capital, no?
Yeah, I think so.
oh, what was that like?
It was doing an interrail trip, so it was very brief, 2 hours. It was very nice, old town, very small. It has a big white castle on a hill. But it's a favourite haunt of stag do's and parties.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, if any of our listeners come from Slovenia, say hello. I've never been. I would like to go. Not on a stag party, but, well, maybe it's a stag party. Well, anyway. In 1791, on this very day, John Fitch was granted the US patent for his working steamboat.
Ah,
Oh. Okay.
hurrah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, yeah, a whole steamboat you've got a patent for.
Yeah.
1843, another patent. American inventor Charles Thurber, he patents the typewriter.
Ah,
Oh.
where would we be without the typewriter
Where
slash,
would we be?
slash laptop?
Now, when I was at school, we had typewriting lessons. We was,
Oh my God, did you?
yes, every week I was learning to touch type with an old-fashioned typewriter.
Oh,
Just showing
God.
my age there.
But
Is
I
it
tell
the
you,
same like keys as a computer keyboard?
No.
Like the QWERTY. It's a completely
they're
different.
Oh no, you had the layout was the same, but the keys were
Oh,
up in the air.
But it wasn't like a complete waste when they got rid of the typewriter. You still had like the knowledge.
Oh no, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
but they're much harder to type on. I bought one at a flea market once because I find them quite fascinating, these old typewriters. And if you try to type, you've got to really kind of.
Oh yes, you have to hold your fingers like they're claws. So yes, exactly. So yes, it wasn't comfortable. Just confirming, Bratislava is Slovakia apparently, or did you mean Ljubljana?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh no!
So I've not been to Slovenia.
You haven't been to Slovenia? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. That's great.
I have been to Slovakia though.
So that we have a confusion between Slovenia, Slovakia, Bratislava, Ljubljana. You've been to Hove though, we know that.
I've been there. Yeah.
Right.
1894, on this very day, the Netherlands Social Democratic Workers' Party, the SDAP, forms, and a year later, the electric generator at Niagara Falls produces power for the first time. They must have been very excited. In 1907, on this very day, Harry Houdini escapes from chains underwater at the aquatic park in 57 seconds.
Oh.
The whole thing just gives me shivers. It's just, yes, it's very scary. 1951, Dutch professor Jacob Jongbloed demonstrates an artificial heart in Paris. Not sure how he demonstrates it, but he did demonstrate it. 1959, the British Motor Corporation introduces the Morris Mini Minor. It was designed by Alex It was designed by Alex, and it was only, hold on, Alex Hysogonis.
Right.
Alex is fine. It was only 3 meters long, but seated 4 passengers. Now, I have to say, the Mini does get my husband a little bit riled up. I'm just saying, because of the new Mini. The new Mini, which is the size of a small principality, you could actually get a family of 37 in there, and he doesn't understand how it can still be called the Mini. I do see where he's coming from, because the Mini has grown somewhat. It's been put in some tomato fertilizer and has expanded considerably.
It has grown from the old-timer Mini indeed, which is
Yes.
my all-time favourite automobile. I
Oh, there you
love
go.
them. I love them.
I like the old Beatles.
Oh, yes, the cavers, I think they call them here, also nice. But the Morris Minor has its merits as well. My granddad had one of them.
There you go.
Really nice. I like old cars.
In 1973, on this very day, the University of Texas is the first accredited school to offer belly dancing.
Okay.
Do you fancy that, Matt?
No,
I think
I'm
you'd
not
be
very
so good at
flexible.
it. In 1981, the Voyager 2 takes photos of Saturn's moon Titan. And on this day in 2005, the US Postal Service christens a Los Angeles facility as the Ray Charles Station. 2018, Danny Boyle pulls out of directing the next James Bond film due to creative differences.
Ooh.
And finally, on this day in 2020, Dutch author Marieke Lucas Reinveld, who is only 29, is the youngest to win the International Booker Prize for her debut novel, The Discomfort of Evening. I haven't read it, but I've no doubt it's very good. Here's some birthdays. On this day in 1910, Mother Teresa was born, the Albanian-born Indian nun. 1960, Branford Marsalis, the American jazz, classical and funk saxophonist. 1971, Talia Sodi, the Mexican actress and singer. 1980, Macaulay Culkin, well, he was home alone. And in 1980, Chris Pine, the American actor, who does a very good Captain Kirk in Star Trek, the new Captain Kirk, as it were. I think he's rather good, actually. Well, he was born on this day in 1980. So happy birthday. Happy birthday to anybody who's having a birthday today. Hope you're having a lovely day, however you are choosing to spend it. And that was this day in history. Thank you very much. There you go.
Very nice. Very nice.
So Adam says he's been to Slovenia and he said it was lovely.
Nice.
We're still not sure where Matt's been. He's been either to Slovenia or Slovakia.
He's
We're
been
not sure.
He's been somewhere.
He's been somewhere. We do know he's been to Hove, but apart from that,
I think I might have gone through it on the train. Maybe I didn't go to Ljubljana.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the furthest east I've been. I've been to Warsaw. That's very pretty, actually.
Oh, there you go.
And I've been to Minsk, Belarus.
Oh.
And yeah, I think that's about it. Well, I suppose, Asia, but that's outside of Europe. So,
she's been to all these places, but she still hasn't been to Utrecht. Anyway.
I haven't, actually, no. I haven't been to Utrecht. Is it worth going, Matthew?
It is.
In your Dutch
I don't really like Utrecht, sorry.
Right, you see? There you go. I'm not missing anything. Did you? I haven't been to Rotterdam either. Or the Hague.
Oh yeah, okay. We've got another. I can feel another list coming on, and we've got a guest coming up shortly. So I think we probably should crack on with the news. Are you ready, Tracy?
No. Yes, I am. I'm ready to go.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joanne. Good evening, everyone. It's August 26th, and you're watching the Maastricht Edition on Facebook Live. First, to look at your weekend weather, and it will be a bit unsettled over the coming days. Although there will be sunny spells, rain is expected on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the chance of thunderstorms on Saturday as well. Temperatures will reach 20 degrees. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. An explosion outside Kabul's airport amid a huge evacuation effort from Afghanistan has killed at least 13 people. The explosion follows warnings from multiple countries that there was risk of an imminent attack and comes as thousands of Westerners and Afghans are scrambling to get flights out of the country before the deadline of August 31st. The explosion appears to have been caused by a suicide bomb, but this is yet to be confirmed. An estimated 18 million Afghans are in need of humanitarian assistance, and more than 3 million children are at risk of acute malnutrition as a result of the ongoing tensions in Afghanistan. Many aid organizations are continuing to maintain a presence in the country to assist in charitable programs. In other news tonight, 160 countries are participating in the Paralympic Games, which started last Tuesday. Team Nederland have already won 5 golds, 3 silvers and 1 bronze. Tokyo is their 16th consecutive appearance at the Summer Paralympic Games since 1960. As of yesterday, blind and visually impaired people can feel the buildings of Dam Square in Amsterdam in miniature works of art. Buildings were replicated in a raised textured format by artist Street Art Frankie with text that is also in Braille. The artwork takes the form of concrete Lego-style barricades in the area and also has a QR code which offers a free audio tour. The average temperature in Europe in 2020 was 1.9 degrees above the long-term average from 1981 to 2010. Parts of the continent, including Luxembourg, Sweden and Finland, saw temperatures of 2 degrees or more above the average for recent decades. The report also shows the average surface temperature over land areas in the Arctic was the highest since data records began in 1900. New research suggests that the protection provided by 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech and the AstraZeneca vaccines starts to wane within 6 months. A worst-case scenario could see the protection fall to below 50% for the elderly and healthcare workers by winter. Moving to local news, and it has been confirmed that Jaeger Jazz will again not take place this year. The festival was due to happen in Maastricht on the weekend of 8th to 10th October. The foundation hopes to hold the festival in 2022 and to again allow the music to shine from cafes and restaurants in the city. And finally tonight, sadly, many cats and dogs who were adopted during the pandemic have now been returned to shelters. However, an animal shelter in Munich has begun using the Tinder dating app to post profiles of lonely cats and dogs looking for their forever home. And it seems the response has been hugely positive. The German shelter has already begun processing many applications and is conducting in-depth interviews to find the perfect home for the single pets. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to maastrichter.com. If a historical walking tour is more your thing, check out Meet Maastricht, the key to your city. And finally, don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble and on Instagram. Up next, we're speaking with Katerina Kandylaki.
We certainly are. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Before we do get our guest on, I think it would be nice just to say that here at the Maastricht Edition, we do send our thoughts to everybody who has relatives, friends, family out in Afghanistan at the moment. It's an absolutely awful situation there, and we know that there are many people in the Maastricht or South Limburg area who will have family out there. So we just wanted you to know that we are thinking of you, and we hope this all gets resolved very soon. Okay, let's get our guest in with us. It's Katerina's going to be in the house. She does a bit of research. She does a bit of dancing. She's going to be hanging out at the PASS Festival coming up very shortly. So we thought we'd get her on the show again. Here she is. Hello, Katerina.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm trying to get the blur effect out.
There you go. She's getting rid of the blur.
Yeah. No
Excellent
blur.
stuff. Lovely to have you back with us again.
Thank you for inviting me.
I understand your geography is probably better than Matt's, actually, because we saw the messages coming through there.
Thank you, Katerina.
About the confusion between Slovakia and Slovenia.
It's an easy confusion to make.
Remind everybody, where are you from, Katerina?
I'm from Greece.
And Greece, how many islands does Greece have, for goodness sake?
I have no idea.
Have you been to them all?
No, I come from an island, so I don't go to other islands. I only go to my island.
Got you.
Oh.
That makes sense. I mean, the Greek islands are so beautiful. So it's, although it's also, we're speaking about Afghanistan in the news. Greece has also been in the news a bit recently, having a rather tough time right now. I hope your family and loved ones are safe and well.
Yeah, all safe and well, but still I'm very worried about what will happen to the lands that were burned.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems to be a year of it for sure. I've been waiting for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to turn up at some point, because it's either been fires one day, it's been flooding another. It's just been horrific, some of the stories we've been getting coming through. So yes, again, we hope everybody is fine. But Katerina, you are here to explain to everybody about you being a researcher half of the time and a dancer the other half of the time. But let's do one half first. Let's stick with the research for the moment, because you are going to be appearing at the PASS Festival that's coming up. I think it's next month. And
next weekend actually.
Next weekend, and you're going to be there talking about breathing and rhythms and beats, and it all, look, it's gone straight over my head already. You're going to have to explain what this is about.
Yeah, so it's about the rhythm of language and how does the beat happen in language. For example, in poetry, you have meter. And I don't know any English poem, but usually when you have a poem, you have this rhythm, da 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 da, or da 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 da. Like, this is meter that happens in language, so they have certain patterns of beat. And then in free speech, the beat is a bit of all over the place. And also in political speech, the rhythm, the patterns is used to make a point, to make you vote for them. Also in advertisement, they try to sell you something. They use anything they can, whoever they can be, but whatever. I mean that rhythm and the beat has such a powerful effect, and it's been exploited. And yeah, I'm going to talk about this. And then of course about the brain. Yeah.
This is quite fascinating, because I would say for most of us, we're not aware that there is this particular rhythm that's getting to our subconscious and actually convincing us to buy or to vote.
Yeah, it's all about remembering something. If you have something in a certain pattern that might be repeating, and if the beats of the phrase follow the beats of the words, if I give you a slogan, have a break, have a Kit Kat. This is an excellent slogan. Like it takes break, it puts it into the same beat, puts the Kit Kat, the name of the product. You will never forget this slogan. And it really tells you what to do. So this is how rhythm is used, and the beat of language is used to, for purposes. And my point is at this PASS festival, at this talk, if I can inspire some people to just listen to what rhythms are out there, to just pay a little bit more attention and just be aware of them, you know, how easily it is to be tricked into remembering something just because it's rhythm and catchy.
But you could also use this the other way around, right? You could use it for good things, I suppose. You could use it to help people save the environment, stop littering, for example, or eat less, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool, right? As with all tools, you can use it for any purpose. And I've been recently talking to a friend of mine who's a theater director, and he's really interested in this rhythm idea and how to exploit rhythm for the performing acts. So I guess that is also a good cause.
Well, singers will use this when they're training, especially opera singers, for example, because you have to learn rhythms and beats, because that will dictate how you breathe while you're actually singing those particular rhythms and beats, of course. So it's used all over the place, and we just don't realize it.
Yeah.
So why why have you done this research? But how did you get into it? Where was the interest that sparked you to actually get involved in this?
So for me, I've always been interested in languages and how do people speak languages, listen to languages, learn languages. And in my PhD, I discovered that a lot about language is not just the language bits of the brain, but also other bits of the brain that are shared with other functions, such as music. So music perception involves rhythm perception. And then I was thinking, okay, rhythm perception must be falling into the language perception as well. So how does that interact, and how does this rhythm network of the brain, how is this applied for speech? That is how I got in, like from the languages, from the speech perception, and then into the rhythm perception. Yeah.
I suspect there's probably some rhythms that we just find more attractive because of the regularity of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
The regularity is a good concept.
Yeah, I think humans are naturally attracted to symmetry and regularity and being neat and tidy.
Yeah, it is an artistic means as well to keep something regular, and then for some reason, for some expressive element, to break that rhythm, and then it just pops out. So it is something you can really play around with at all modalities, in the auditory, in the visual, also in design. You talk about rhythm in design, right? Now I'm a bit farther away from speech, which is my expertise, but I'm very attracted to the concept of rhythm in all its facets.
And we were talking earlier about dogs, weren't we? Because it's International Dog Day. So is it just humans who are like auditory, really interested in rhythm, or is it also other animals as well?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So the great apes have been only reactive to the beat up to now in experiments, but there's a lot of birds, basically animals that are vocal learners, that's how we call them. So seals, birds, I don't know if you watched Snowball, the cockatoo, who's been like bouncing to the Michael Jackson music.
Oh, okay.
You need to Google that. You need to Google that. It's hilarious. So anyway, there are certain animal groups that are called vocal learners, and they seem to be very sensitive to rhythm and timing because that's how they learn from their parents.
Apparently Jack Russells are as well, I'm being told.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. That could be. That
ties in with International Dog Day. So if anybody else has a particularly rhythmic dog, then please do let us
We'd
know.
like to see that. But very exciting. But Katerina, you must be very excited about your appearance at the PASS Festival this year. Is it your first time to speak at this event?
Yeah, it's my first time. They already invited me last year, but it didn't happen. So I was like, oh. So this year it's gonna happen. And I just finished my slides today, so I'm gonna start practicing it so that I get the hang of it and be ready for everyone.
I'm sure, because I believe, the PASS Festival, for people who don't know, it's the Pleasure, Art and Science Festival. And this year it's from the 3rd and the 4th of September, if I'm remembering correctly. And I understand it's a free event, which is also quite cool.
Yeah. It's organized by the Studium Generale of the Maastricht University, and it's at Tapijn, so it's at this campus, the new campus. I think 3 years ago I went to this festival, and it was in the old buildings of the university, which were very charming as well. But I'm also looking forward to this campus feeling on the Tapijn with the different inside and outside events. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we went to my husband and I, we went to the one 3 years ago, I think it will be now, yes. Found it very interesting. There was an awful lot going on. You're certainly not going to get bored. There was plenty to keep you entertained for sure. Yeah. Now, speaking of entertainment, if people are not going to come and listen to you talk, they could, of course, watch you do some dancing.
Yes.
Because as well as using your brain, you like to use the rest of your body too, Katerina, because as somebody who follows you on social media, you're always posting pictures of yourself, bending yourself in all kinds of different shapes. Maybe you'd like to enlighten us as to the dancing and why it's important to you.
Yeah, so I think it's really, really important to use your body as well as your brain, because they feed back to each other. So for me, dancing has been my way of relaxing, but also a way of inspiring and expressing. So I am also setting up my own company, as I've told you already before, Dance, Movement and Breathing. And I would like to inspire other people to use their bodies more. I believe we are so much in our heads, and a lot of our bodies know the way to come back to it ourselves and feel good about things, not only think and judge, and maybe that feeds back negative feelings. But from the body, from the breath, there's a lot of good things flowing, and that's what I try to tease out of people in my classes. Yeah.
It's a big topic right now, this reconnection with yourself, isn't it? And last week we had Anita on, who's a naturopath, and she was also speaking about this type of topic. So it's I think there's definitely a hunger for this type of approach, certainly given the last year and a half and everything people have been trying to get through. So very interesting that you're investigating and bringing this to people to try to help them reconnect with themselves.
Yeah.
I think what's quite nice actually as well is the pictures that I see you posting. If people say, oh yeah, I'm going to learn about dancing, their first thought would be, oh yes, we're just going to be in a line and we're just going to do the step here and a step right and a grapevine to the left and hands up and everything. But this is not what we're talking about, is it, Katerina? Because the pictures that you're posting, when I see you dancing, it really is about letting yourself go completely.
Yeah. It might seem scary, but I give guidance and I guide you through that trip of letting go and connecting. We start from the breath, a little bit of giving my one of my secrets. So we start from the breath and then we build up to that with ideas, more abstract ideas or more concrete ideas with props. That's more of the creative part. We also do like group interaction exercises. These end up being very funny and connecting people. And that is also very relaxing to connect with the group, not online or not on the phone, but actually vibing together. That's quite nice. Yeah. And also, of course, some more exercising things to strengthen the body to be able to express itself, right? So for me, it was the biggest difficulty I had when I started dancing was that I had imagined or I had felt things that I wanted to do with my body, but I couldn't do because my body wasn't strong enough. So in my classes, I also give that background as well, that to build up on with expression on top. Yeah.
I think it's also going to help people who are maybe a bit self-conscious about their body, because if you say to somebody, oh, strike a pose, throw yourself, imagine you're on a beach and you just want to embrace nature or something, people are probably like, oh my God, no, I'm being looked at. I'm gonna make a fool of myself. So this probably would help people who just want to maybe be more body aware and enjoy their body for what it is. Explore what it can and can't do and embrace themselves.
Yes, totally. I agree with that statement completely.
Excellent. Well,
well done. Yeah. But do you find, Katerina, that that's an issue in maybe people who are coming to your classes? Do you find that people are, I don't know, more self-conscious or embarrassed or just not free enough anymore? Is that our society?
I find that, of course, some people are shy, which is a part of their character. And I can see that and I can work with that. And I encourage them to work within how they're comfortable. And I then see other people who are more judgmental. It's not their shy side that is not bringing their best out or their true self out, but more they themselves stop themselves. So that I try to point out, that I say, well, there you were doing it right, and then you thought about it, and then you thought you corrected yourself, but then you did it wrong. So why don't you just silence that little devil that tells you you're wrong, and just do what your muscle memory has already, because you've done it already. It's there. So
I can imagine that's probably going to be an issue for a lot of people coming out of this last 18 months as well, because we've been hidden away. And the idea of exposing ourselves to other people is probably quite daunting for some who just haven't been socializing at all for the last
it needs a little bit of maybe ignoring the fear. I think it's weird times we're living now. We go to bigger events, and now we go, and then we're so alienated when we're there. At least that's how I feel.
Yes, no, I think many people have this feeling.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if people want to come and enjoy these classes that you're giving, Katerina, how do they get hold of you?
Well, I do have a website, dancemovementbreathing.eu, and they can contact me there. There are always some classes on offer, but it's better to contact me for the exact dates and times. And a brief mention to what these dances can do, because we have a performance as a dance company on the 5th of September at so next day after the past talk, we are performing.
So a busy weekend for you.
I'm really practicing everything. So there's a festival called Struinen in de Tuinen. It's a garden festival. Don't know if you've heard about it before. And we're performing at one garden in Nazareth, is close to the train station, a bit to the north. So all the details are on the website of the Struinen in de Tuinen. And we're called Les Impromptus. So it's a French dance company with a French name. And I mean, there you can see with the training I have, with the things I teach in my classes, how this can be made into a performance, actually.
Lovely. All right, well, we'll put all of your details on our socials at the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Katerina. Always a pleasure to see you. Have a wonderful PAS festival. Have a wonderful dance festival. It sounds like you're going to be very worn out by the week after that, I'm sure.
The week after,
But it all sounds really good fun. Come and see us again soon, won't you?
Yeah. Let's talk in person next time.
Lovely. Yes, hopefully we'll be in the same room. That would be good. Yeah. Thanks ever so much, Katerina. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Kalispera.
Oh, get you.
I know. Well, we went to Crete a number of years ago and picked up a few words of the local language. Kalispera. Good evening.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, very inspirational, guys. No?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, do you know what? I wouldn't say I'm the most elegant of dancers, but I do like to throw a few shapes.
Throwing shapes is also classified as dance, Joe.
There you go.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't help myself. Give me a dirty little rhythm, and these feet, they just won't stop. I tell you.
Yeah, they're not just made for walking; they're made for dancing. So
these hips don't lie. That's what I'm saying. These hips don't lie. We're coming towards the end of the show, but I think we've got time for a bit of Matt Goes Dutch before we go.
Okay.
Matt Goes Dutch.
What have you got for us, Matt?
This week, I told you last week, I'm going to look at Dutch companies because, some of them are interesting. So this week, I'm going to look at KLM because it's the Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij.
I was going to ask you, what does it stand for? Excellent.
And it was founded in 1919, which makes it the oldest operating airline in the world, which is quite interesting.
Very interesting.
So the company started after an exhibition which was organized in Amsterdam by a man called Albert Plesman, and he was really important in setting up KLM, the first commercial airline. He was the driving force behind all of this. And if you're really interested in this, there is a drama series detailing the whole setup of KLM in Dutch on NPO, and you can find that online. I can't remember what it's called, but you just Google it, you'll find it. It's good for practicing your Dutch. So the company had its first flight in 1920. They didn't have their own airlines. They had to lease them, airplanes. They had to lease them. And the first flight came from Croydon, London airport to Amsterdam. And it was just carrying some reporters and a bit of, I think it was newspapers. It was just like a promotion flight, but it was the first flight. And in that year, in 1920, they carried 440 passengers and 22 tons of freight, because it wasn't just about flying people, it was also about flying goods, because that's how they made some money. And also the post was really important.
Yeah.
So in 1921, the company gained its first aircraft, which were Fokker aircraft. Fokker was a really famous pilot, and he also built
proper aircraft.
Yeah.
When I trained as an air hostess, we had to work on a Fokker actually.
There you go.
When I used to work for an airline, we had them in our company as well. I know, but I know. I'm just saying.
KLM was one of the first companies to have these Fokker aircraft, and there you go. They were fucking great. So in 1924,
well done, Matthew.
the first intercontinental flight left for Dutch Jakarta, so Indonesia, and that was the longest distance flight operating until 1939, where longer flights were introduced. And then during World War II, many Dutch KLM flights that were still in the air, they landed in the UK to stay away from the Nazis, not to get into Nazi hands, and operated under the BOAC, so the British National Airline. Some of them were shot down, and unfortunately lots of people died, but the others were really important in operating. But there was a really famous crash that happened after one of the flights was shot down over Australia by the Japanese, and there were 8 people on board, but also $15 million worth of diamonds. And after this aircraft was shot down, the diamonds disappeared and were never found again. So that's an interesting story there. Sadly, 3 people also died, but 5 people survived, but the diamonds disappeared. So that was that story. And then in 1946, KLM became the first airline in Europe to offer flights to North America, so they flew to New York. So I think you still had to be quite rich to get on one of these flights in the 1940s. But yeah, so KLM was really important in European aircraft industry. And I can't read what I've written there. In the 1970s, they were the first company to introduce a loyalty program in Europe. And it's called the Flying Dutchman. So you collect points and then get a discount on your future flights, as it works today, of course. And today it's a huge company, one of the biggest airline companies in the world, because it's merged with Air France. It's partially nationalized by the Dutch and French governments. So, yeah, it's still a really important company for the Dutch economy. And yeah, I really recommend you watch that drama series if you're interested.
Very interesting.
It's quite a serious one.
That's so interesting. I think they're also connected with Transavia. It's like affiliated with them. And I must say, the first time I ever flew with KLM was when Dave and I traveled to Tokyo, and they were really fabulous. Awesome. And we were only traveling economy, and it was still pretty cool. It wasn't the fancy business class, but really you have a kind of, it was a very, very, very positive experience. So go KLM. So yeah. Indeed.
Marvelous.
Very interesting, Matthew. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Well, yes, we are slowly running out of time. Tracy, got any tidbits before we depart?
I have several titty bitties for you. So as you know, I'm doing this new Tracy's Tasty Titty Bitty. So I wanted to give 2 shout outs today, one of which we had dinner there last evening and it was really fabulous. It's called Patty and Bun, and they're based in the Jacob Quartier. Originally it was a different kind of, I forget the name anyway, but nowadays they're sort of this kind of American diner style thing. But they do these awesome burgers, and I mean they're mammoth burgers. But they also do these vegan burgers, which is what I had. It's made of beet, so it's a beet burger. And it's really good. So if you're in the mood for a burger and some fries and some proper deep fried onion rings, this is really the place for you to go. Oh, they were so good.
Katerina would probably like the beet burger.
She might beat. Oh yeah, but B-E-A-T, B-E-E-T. But okay, yeah, we can work. Different kind of beet.
Work with me here.
Very good onion rings. Dave and I fought over the last one, and they also they do these awesome milkshakes as well. So they're available on Taskazorg, or you can pass by and do a pickup takeaway. Very, very interesting. So check it out. Also, I had the pleasure yesterday of passing by the Stadsbrauerei de Maastricht. In Maastricht, I got to meet with the lovely Sander and enjoy a couple. We had one beer while we were there. But this is also a place to think about because they also do food, so you can also pass by, have some little bites and things like that. So do give them some support and pass by and check that out. Something non-foodie, drinky related is from a former guest of ours, the lovely Petronella Turin, if I remember correctly. Oh my goodness. Who's our cellist, our honourable cellist. And she has a few spots available in her music classes for children in September. And she offers these classes in English, Dutch, and in Swedish. So if you want to check out for Saturdays at 10 o'clock for 2 to 3 year olds, or Thursdays at 4:15 for 4 to 5 year olds, or Fridays at 10 a.m. for 4 to 5 year olds. Oh my God, I think we'll just post her website online. You can check it out. So basically, if you have a child who's aged between 2 and 5 and they want to learn how to play the cello, then you can check out the options that Petronella is offering, but they sound quite cool.
Excellent. I can't imagine it's a very easy instrument to learn, actually.
I used to play cello.
Oh, there you are. Matthew, you're a man of mystery.
Yes, but you're a genius, Matt.
I wasn't very good at it.
All right. I'm all about the piano. When I was trying to decide, I wanted to learn a musical instrument. So up to then, I was only able to play the tin whistle, which is nice, but not terribly exciting. I thought about the cello, I thought about the violin, and in the end, I just think, piano called to me. But, interesting. I think the cello has such beautiful sounds and everything. So it's definitely interesting. And I understand they also make little cellos for the children.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. How big are the child ones? Like this?
Well, that's it. Exactly. I mean, because having something that big between your legs, you should wait until you're an adult, really. But anyway.
I was waiting for it.
We've come to the end of the show. A big thank you to Katerina for joining us this evening. As we said, we should be putting all of her details for both the PASS Festival and for her dance classes on our socials after the show, which you can find on Facebook or on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. Matt, will you be back in the Netherlands next week?
I will. I'm going home next week.
Excellent. So we shall have you back on home soil. Have a lovely weekend, however you choose to spend it. I think Tracy mentioned that the weather was going to be reasonable, so ish.
Pack a brolly, people, be prepared.
Oh, you're living in the Netherlands. You should always have a brolly in your bag anyway. We shall be back next Thursday. Have a lovely time over the coming week, and we shall see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kalispera.
Apparently, Katerina says you have a lovely accent.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, I wish I could reply, but can you respond?